Hi there, welcome to the Kenny Veach M-Cave mystery. Today I have a very interesting finding to share with you and it will be of your interest, so don't go anywhere. The finding is a supposed private investigator claiming to have found Kenny Veach alive and well. This was located on fellow investigator Scott Natal's channel, one of his past videos. Today we're going to look at the details of the comment, what's been shared on from a third-party person, see what it's all about. I can share with you my thoughts and analysis of the matter. And more importantly, or equal, we can also look at the additional comments and address it's made. You know, what people think about it and what people think about the video of Scott Natal's, because it is important to give a brief backstory before we go any further so you understand the references back then and what was being taught about the theory at the time and Scott Natal himself. So as said, it's best advised to watch from start to end of this video so you fully understand what's at hand, what's being taught about, okay? Now, there might be the odd few people here and there, Atari, Jeff Clark, some others, viewers, that may be familiar with this, but not everyone will remember. And many out there may have never seen this before. So it's important to take a look at it. It does branch upon the idea that Kenny Veach is still alive. Of course, there's been evidence material in favour of that, which has in a way supported the idea and to an extent proved that he could well be alive, Kenny Veach, the whole staging of his hike, etc. For those that are currently here though, watching right now in this live premiere, welcome to this video. Be sure to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And for anybody else and everyone in general, make sure to leave your comments down below under this video and let me know whether you agree or not with this claim made about Kenny Veach being found and the rough location as to where he's living at, because it is mentioned in the comments section. So leave your responses down below, and if you want to elaborate, feel free to do so. If you do have any questions, I'll try and answer them at a later point. Okay? As well, today you may see some familiar faces from the past, considering it is commented on an old video about 2 years ago when it comes to Scott Natal and his involvement in the case, because ever since he's moved away, he's moved on to other things, from the Dylan Rounds case, and in recent time, work has ended up going back to Las Vegas. Currently, Scott Natal is in Las Vegas because of the location of work at this moment in time. I did actually respond back to Scott Natal with that comment saying, do you still follow the Kenny Veach case? What about the sword that was lost? No response from Scott Natal. He responded to some other people, but not my comment. So I don't know if he did see it or not, but hopefully he does at some point, right? So with that being said, in reference to this private investigator and this third-party representative reaching out on behalf of them, Scott Natal's video, what was the theme and focus at the time? Well, as said, to do with Kenny being alive but laying low, hiding somewhere, maybe the outskirts of Las Vegas, the city, maybe the insides, depending, the homeless community. What Scott Natal did a few years ago now was go about the homeless community in Las Vegas, asking around whether they knew of Kenny Veach, do they know where he's at, have they heard that he's missing, etc. Short story is, not much turned up. I believe most of the homeless people, if not all, didn't know nor recognise who Kenny Veach was. Now, there's always that small possibility that the homeless community may look out for one another and keep certain identities a secret and hide them out of respect and stuff and trust. But you know, what Scott Natal did at the time, it was thinking outside of the box, trying something different. Now, Scott Natal did make a reference to the odd homeless person in the past, somewhere in the desert area of Nevada, probably not too far from Las Vegas, but in the desert area, and some cardboard found in a shallow cave. There wasn't much description given there by Scott Natal, but he did say at some point when he came across a homeless person in the desert, because Scott Natal was recording or filming, the homeless person ended up either getting hostile or moving away because he didn't want to be seen on camera. So it could make you think, why was that person trying to hide their identity? Was it Kenny Veach? There's probably a fair chance that it wasn't, and the homeless person didn't want to be bothered, so they kept their distance. But you get the idea of laying low, trying to remain undetected. And if an investigator is out there, comes across Kenny Veach, how's Kenny going to respond, react? Is he going to run away? Is he going to try and hide? Does he look different? Right? All these different ideas and thoughts, and that's what Scott Natal took on board at the time. Now, it's not the only idea, because another investigator known as Sean Horlacher said when he was driving back on the way home, he noticed on the side of a road a homeless-looking person that looked very similar to Kenny Veach. And Sean Horlacher, for a certain length of time, was like certain it was Kenny and that Kenny was alive, but it wasn't recorded, which is unfortunate. And when Sean Horlacher tried returning to the area, he could never find that homeless person ever again. So could that have been Kenny Veach? I mean, it was in Nevada somewhere. I don't know how far from Las Vegas, because Sean relocated afterwards to a different place of living. I don't know the backstory behind that, but, you know, one thing that's remained consistent is the idea, the crossover of Kenny being homeless or a part of some community. And as you know, they can look out for one another. So we touch upon all these different ideas, subjects and theories, just in case we miss out on anything. And in terms of this finding, which may have been addressed in the past, we need to re-examine it and look at the post from Scott Natal's video. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Well, here we are, and we can adjust it to the latest comments, I guess, and work our way back to see what people were thinking at the time. I said, there'll be familiar faces you would have seen before, in the past, maybe on my channel, on Sean's channel. Where are they now? Who knows? They could be lurking in the background. But nevertheless, what does this person Terry have to say? Saying he's alive. So how does Terry know that Kenny Veach is alive? Could Terry have been influenced by my videos? I don't know. Next comment is a link. Now that's just to do with people living underground in Las Vegas, the homeless community. Next comment by, is it the same person? Could be. Trying to match the usernames. They say, you should have looked for Kenny with the mole people that live underground in Vegas. The tunnels I saw, the mole people video. And that's the video above the link provided. Lisa says, yes, people do disappear. 600,000 Americans go missing each year. Okay. Morris saying, why are you recording homeless people? Why? Because it ruins the identity. Well, what Scott Natal did, and I guess he had consent to do it, I assume, if a camera's out, it would have been obvious. It's like an interview, right? You're conducting an interview with people on the streets to try and get an answer. And if they did say anything of interest, if you can record it, well, you can use it as evidence, right? And then you can share it with everyone. So it makes sense. It looks like it was done in an obvious way. So it wasn't done in a sneaky way, like how some people record phone calls without consent, etc. We got is that Jeremiah or Jeremill? Saying, check the tunnels under Vegas, can enter near the strip. Bring a good photograph of Kenny's face and a friend for backup. Also be respectful entering the tunnels. People go there who don't want to be found. So there seems to be a bit of a running theme here, saying that Kenny could well be alive, but hiding underground under Las Vegas. Does anyone else agree with that? I mean, I can do a custom poll on my channel page. Be on the lookout for it. And we'll see what people have to say about it. This person, my response, he would never use his real name. Okay, Charlotte. I've seen Charlotte before on my channel saying, man, it sucks to be homeless. I think Kenny is hiding, but with maybe his brothers or brother. What, like Raymond Veach? Charlotte says, wow, that place has changed. I was there in 1982. Did not know homeless live in Las Vegas. Scott Natal said, yeah, there are hundreds of homeless because it's warm all year long. Fair enough. This person called Shelley. Awesome. Look north, you're doing a hell of a job though. I'm sure it means a lot to someone. God bless and glad there are people still like you. Some people might not want to talk if you keep saying he owes a ton of money. Homeless people stick together, might want to leave that out of the conversation. Duran saying the missing cave doesn't work anymore, so now he's homeless. Crazy stuff. Wait. What's this person on about? I mean, Scott Natal's liked the comment, but is this person being a bit cocky or something? Like, are they saying that because it didn't work for Kenny did something else? Or are you saying that because the theory of the cave didn't work out, you changed the subject? If that's really the case, the reality is we look at it from all angles and perspectives within this case, both the cave and the missing person. Two separate mysteries, you can call it that, okay? We're not saying he's now homeless. He could have always been homeless. We're looking back retrospectively to try and understand how one thing played out to another, right? Do the research and you'll understand. We got Ivan Gaming. I remember Ivan. He was on my channel for a short bit of time. Saying, finding Kenny Veach old house and girlfriend message to say some I leave or some else. Yeah, I don't quite understand that. Rosie says the amount of homelessness in the country now is staggering. Considering the track record of our government is not surprising, but still very sad. We are now officially a third world country. I read the comments his girlfriend made at his last video about him being suicidal. Plus he was taking the pharmaceutical drugs for depression. What? Which they have discovered are a target drug that affects the brain in a way that makes you suicidal. Okay, fair point there, but there is a but. So it wouldn't surprise me anyone if he did kill himself. On the other hand, if she was trying to help him disappear, it's a somewhat believable story and he may still be out there somewhere. Right, Rosie, let me just reread that. You're saying, I read the comments his girlfriend made, plus he was taking drugs. What are you on about, Rosie? There is not enough proof to say he was taking drugs. I mean, Sharon was, saying that maybe there should be like a doctor's appointment, some kind of intervention, and Kenny was kind of resisting it. No intervention took place. All Sharon Pilgrim did was, Kenny, if you don't call me, contact me within the next 5 days and onwards. If we don't stick to that routine, then I'm going to assume something bad has happened and then intervention will occur, right? When Kenny went missing and not heard of for several days, I mean, it wasn't even a 5-day mark. It got to the 8th day mark. So even Sharon, the girlfriend, didn't even stick to her own words about the 5-day rule. So that's a load of bollocks. But Rosie, there is no full-on proof, concrete, to say Kenny was taking medication. He wasn't. I've not seen any doctor's notes. I've not seen any proof. So why are you assuming that? You're going down the mental health bandwagon, because it sounds like it. Next one, we got the cat lady, also known as Nina. This is Nina, an individual that was on my channel in the past, as some of you will know. She uses the time mark 16 minutes and 44 seconds. Nina says, that man seems pretty smart and kind. That one guy who won't stop talking, I wonder what he had gone through in his life and what really turned his life around to become homeless. It's sad. Moving on. We've got Michael saying, thanks for continuing to investigate this. Everyone else is arguing with each other, yet you are looking at this from different angles. Did you ever revisit that cave near Gas Peak, where there were symbols on the ledge of the small window that you stuck your camera out of? Anyway, keep up the good work. So this is an interesting comment by Michael, because supposedly Gas Peak, if that's the location of the ledge, I actually did an analysis of that and was the first person to make a video about it. So Michael, besides all the supposed people complaining in the background, I think it would be good, Michael, if you actually provided some kind of credit as to where it came from. Warlike wrath, okay? But one thing to highlight, which is interesting here, is how Michael is saying Scott Natal is all about the Kenny Veach case, searching and putting in the effort, but supposedly everyone else isn't doing much good. Michael, You're in a position with a default channel, default profile, zero contribution to the case. You've done nothing from the looks of it. So I don't think you're in any position to, generalize that everyone else isn't doing anything. Because there are many other people out there besides Scott Natal that have been boots on ground, that have searched, that have done coverage, and others that have done coverage online and single-handedly kept the case alive and provided you, Michael, content to watch. Because I don't see you making videos about it. So simmer down, okay? Now, in reference to the bit about revisiting the cave near Gas Peak, now, I couldn't remember the location of it, but Scott Natal did reply, so that'll be interesting. The symbols on the ledge. So it might be hard for people to remember, but I made a video about it where Scott Natal went into a cave. The back wall looked black, like someone had a fire. Then to the left-hand side, it went up a slope through you could call it like a tunnel, but still within a cave. And as he got further up, it came to an end point, like a ledge, almost like a balcony looking out of a window whilst in a cave. And as he was climbing on up, the ledge, a bit of rock sticking out, there were weird symbols plastered across it. Now, some were recognisable, others weren't as clear. But it was very interesting, very strange, and never solved. Some people from GLP mentioned about ancient symbols to treasure, or a reference to the sky, maybe astronomy, or just ancient symbols. So, does anyone remember that? Let me know. Scott Natal does say, I need to go back to that one location. Right, so I guess, did Scott Natal ever return back to that place? I don't know. I don't remember. So there are still unsolved mysteries, and, in a fair way of putting it, it's hard to remember everything. So, of course, Jeff Clark, you've done your bullet points, you've done, where you've noted it down of the different mysteries, things that have been either solved, debunked, or remain open. Jeff Clark, make sure you've got it on the list to do with the cave, Scott Natal, and the ancient symbols on the rock. Okay? Moving on, we got George or something saying Kenny is fine and alive, plus his name is not Kenny. It was all an internet horror story. Right, so this appears to be a male. Never seen them before. This is the problem. You got two sets of people, right? Those that come in and bullshit without any proof or evidence, and the others that come in with bullshit, but at least to make an effort to try and make the point more serious and believable, okay? Both are as bad as each other, but at least one puts in effort to put an argument across. Of course, you always got the genuine people that come on in and that provide their side of the story, but maybe in few numbers. This person called George or something, or Orange, Kenny is okay, he's alive. Where's your proof? Right? Where is your proof? Now, this is the thing. People can come at me and say, well, why are you being so critical on that theory all of a sudden when you've bashed on about it in the past? Because when other humans may fall in line with the same ideas or theories as me, they don't provide the same material. They just use it as a statement. And that is a big issue, okay? When it comes to wording and language, just like the Dylan Rounds case, people come on in and state something as a fact or as an event, but the reality is it's a supposed event. It's gossip, it's a rumour, it's a theory, it's an idea. There isn't enough proof at this moment for it to be concrete. But, the people in the background, they twist the words and just state it as a fact, like this person here. If you are going to put it across, at least word it as a theory, an idea, and present some information and proof with it. This person fails to do so, and many others have done down the line. So do you understand that from my point of view, right? On other people's channels, I've said that I've done research, I've got over 300 videos, there is, coverage of CCTV footage to crystal skulls, to swords and tents, to phone calls made by Kenny Veach, etc. All available on my channel. I give reference, I back it up and it's there, it's backed up on my channel. These people don't back it up and it's a problem. It really doesn't help. It's been called Casse, saying names do not mean anything. Show a pic. The hell's that about? So I'm assuming that What Cassie is referring to here is when Scott Natal was questioning the homeless people about, do you know Kenny Veach? The name itself didn't carry enough weight behind it. To show an actual photo, it may have triggered a memory within one of the homeless people. Scott Natal supposedly didn't do that, so that's probably what made it harder in the homeless people giving a better answer, or an answer what Scott wanted at the time. Okay, fair enough. There's been called Jerry Wood, saying yes with Elvis and Jimmy Hoffa. Right, okay. One Man Circus saying, I doubt Kenny would be using the same name. Do you have a picture that you were showing around? Now, Scott Natal does like the comments, but he just doesn't respond back, so it's hard to tell what Scott meant. Rob saying, definitely the side of Vegas they don't want you to see. Hope as Kenny is alive and could be living on the streets. Now, what side of Vegas is this with the homeless people? Is it the east side or the west side? I'm just wondering, because if it's the east side, I mean, Atari mentioned it from her experience, the east side is very shady and sketchy, so that's another area which could be a bit problematic. With Kenny, well, maybe not, because that's more in reference to the Frenchman Mountains over that way. Previous video reference will make sense. CD says, public sidewalk, you can video at will, walk amongst them and then search your footage. 99% of them are good, harmless people. 1% are your hiders that don't want to be found. Watch your back with those ones. Good theory, hide in plain sight. Okay. SM saying, very interesting video, Scott. Actually, I worked around the homeless 40 years. They are usually quite harmless. It only takes that one time, though. Be careful. And that's the same thing with the Christine Passé Parker case way back then, about being careful, watching your back. Those homeless will and can eat your liver for a nickel. Be ready to fight for your life every second you're around them, Scott. Well, you probably, what Scott Natal should have done is hired the security, Jay Silverheels. Anyway, get away, you penguin. That would have worked. SM says, Scott, you are freaking nuts, and that's why we love you. I mean, it's all in the name. Scott Natal, Scott Nutella. It's right there. Now we've got Grave saying you should show them a picture of Kenny as he may be going by an assumed identity. We got Jackie Care. I do remember Jackie. She used to be on my channel, a viewer, saying, awesome. I was wondering if someone was going to look into the homeless area for Kenny. Then we've got Sunny Productions saying, don't forget his limp or knees. Great video, be safe. Now, Sunny Productions is kind of a regular viewer on my channel and is still around till this day. So some people will know Sunny. Okay, there we go. With the shades on. Now, the thing is, Sunny, are those sunglasses wonky or straight? Are they glued on? I wonder. Because when it came to the Dylan Rounds true crime community, there was a lot of people with wonky glasses. Don't know why. Anyway, Crips saying Kenny is still alive. They have him on video breaking into his sister's store, stealing an iPad. His daughter confirmed his identity and his sister's. Now, the one thing to understand is that the daughter, Vicky Veach, at one point believed it was Kenny, but then later backtracked on the idea, and I think that's what showed up in the documentary. So you could say that initial first response to assume or to believe it's Kenny, that's quite telling, okay, in the mindset. To retract it afterwards, maybe that's out of guilt because they don't want Kenny to get caught or to get in trouble for what he supposedly did. Now, Cripps, unfortunately, is stating an event but not actually crediting the person that covered it in the first place, Warlight Raff. So, Cripps, what you mention here is what I covered first on YouTube. Make sure to give a providence next time for reference. Makes it a lot more believable and easier to refer to, okay? So it originated from GLP, but on YouTube, I was the first one to cover it in a video analysis and branch on from there, okay? And as I said, it appears to look like Kenny Veach, and characteristics like body language, the limp with the leg, matches Kenny Veach in terms of how he injured his leg in the past. I know not everyone agrees, I understand that. But what does Scott Natal say? He says, yes, I saw that, I just wanted to get the idea out that he is still alive. So supposedly Scott Natal did watch my video back then. Okay. Levi saying, glad to see you're back again. Vortex, who the F are you going and looking for him? He owes money. To who? So this person's a default channel. Ticks the box. Complains. Ticks the box. Swears. Ticks the box. No contribution. Ticks the box. Kind of like the people that I come across on my channel at times. Then we've got Shimmery Sparkles saying, you're very brave to do this. Be careful. If Kenny is hiding, he might not use his real name. We got Berta saying, maybe Slab City in the desert. Lots of people there like the desert life. Okay. Karina, longer comment, saying he definitely not making up the drone thing. In fact, they're doing far more on surveilling everyone, tracking fingerprints and iris, even voice and face, motion, heat, heartbeat, body temp, and now matching it up to your body's radio frequency to build a profile. Your debit cards, lock onto your vehicles and using map that they say the places you go, and they record pick and pick on YouTube and gaming and record audio, save and share in groups to train others. My neighbours know everything I do. They're publishers, haters and exploiters. The F out of me. I don't go in my yard anymore or watch my birds. They know when I use the bathroom or shower. Well, that sounds a little bit dodgy, doesn't it? Supposedly the US. Right. Karina says, I think you should camp out at night there, if nothing else, a social experiment to see if it changes your views. Your views are pretty solid already, though. If Scott Natal was to camp out there, if not anyone, there's high chances you would get robbed, okay? And you'd be vulnerable. It's not worth it, especially if you got camera equipment with you. Conqueror saying, great content. Karina, once again, she is the cutest, most darling homeless soul. I've been there. It's Sofa King Card. Sofa King Card. You mean so effing hard? Jesus. Where's the dictionary? Because this is hard to read. Bless her. Many of us are half a step away from being homeless ourselves. Well, that's positive. Not. This is totally a path I think is plausible. How could he face anyone after all this? I think that if someone were to follow or open source his supposed girlfriend, we may find him, or we may have found someone to talk from her of exploiting him and sending him somewhere. Have you checked the prison system? You're the only person I'll listen to anymore. Ooh, okay, get you. I appreciate stability and level head and compassion. You may bring up the girlfriend that she ran the halfway house. They let me know of her. Okay, so you talk about stability, but you can't even really spell or structure your sentences. So, Now, this person, Karina, says she will only listen to Scott Natal and nobody else. If you're all about balance, it's all under control here. So, Karina, make sure to do your research elsewhere, such as my channel, because if you are very selective and tunnel vision, you're going to miss out on a hell of a lot. And that is a fact. Okay? There we go. Gene Lowski finally showing up. This is the moment all the people have been waiting for when watching this video, the main part of it. As said, we did it in the order of how things played out from latest comments. And Gene Lowski, 2 years ago. Who is Gene Lowski? If I'm saying the name correctly. Gene Lowski. Kowski? However you want to say it. Polish? Maybe. Sasquatch, if you're there, let me know. Is this last name a Polish surname? Who they subscribe to? Chaplin, World, okay, Law and Crime, some females, Scott Natal, Chad, Harold, UFO, Cara, Stevio, Gaia. Oh, not Gaia. Oh no, that's where all the conspiracies come from, don't they? Anyway, regardless, you may be wondering who this person is. Gene Lowski, supposedly a part of the original search and rescue crew when searching for Kenny Veach back in 2014 and I think 2015 as well. And they gave a lot of information at the time. They even made references to a supposed M cave, or Cave M, in which somewhere in the desert area, up one of the canyons, I can't remember which one it was it Deadman Canyon or Wagon Canyon, correct me if I'm wrong, further on north, in which a group in the past went that way. Was it in the 90s, the 80s, or the 70s, or the 60s? It was in the past, okay, before 2000. And they came across some military equipment within a cave but they were ordered by the commander, I think, of Nellis Air Force Base to leave the area and to not record any footage or delete it. No book was ever made, no documentary was ever made. It went to waste. Now, there are videos on my channel in reference to that, in reference to Gene Lowski. So it's all there on my channel if you're interested. Gene Lowski also mentioned about Hayford Peak and the other peak. Was it Sheep Peak? Areas over that way, more north on the higher up areas, the peaks, where campsites were found. And was it reference to Kenny Veach or not? The uncertainty there. Gene Lowski, I think, also the one that referred to a private search group before Jomay Canyon, but nearby on the right-hand side, more east, up one of those canyons, a private search team looking for another missing person, identity not revealed or explained. A supposed human femur bone was found later to be debunked as an animal bone. So this person called Gene claimed to know a lot of information, provide a lot of dates and times, looked somewhat professional and maybe convincible, okay, and persuading people to listen to him. I listen, as I normally do, and just go along with it just to see what's to be said. But later, Susan Veach, the sister-in-law to Kenny Veach, did reach out to the original search and rescue commander, or the one in charge of it, and said, "Do you know of Gene Lowski?" And they responded back saying, "No, we've never heard of that person before." Now, the argument in the background by some was, well, Gene Lowski may have gone by a different name in the past, or that the commander back then may have not remembered this person called Gene, or chose not to give out true identities and kept it private. But nevertheless, names can change. And to be honest, this name at least sounds like an official normal name, what someone would have. Gene is a normal name. Lowski sounds like a normal surname, just from a different country. And with it being a default channel, with it being over 10 years ago, this person seems to be of an older age. And this is not generalizing in an inaccurate way. This is reality from my observations. A fair proportion of people of a certain age and upwards will have their legal name as their YouTube channel name, okay? Maybe it doesn't always apply, but I've seen it often enough to come to that conclusion. So Gene Lowski sounds like a fairly normal name to me, and how it could be used in real life, because it might be their full legal name and they've chose to make it public and use it as their username. And for Susan to respond back and say, well, the commander never knew of this person, could Gene be a fake individual? At least at the end of the day, Gene did provide information and put more effort in compared to others that state a fact or an event and don't back it up. So you got to acknowledge Gene for something. Now, there was times where either me or Jeff Clark did ask Gene questions, specific ones. And as usual, he didn't respond. People don't always respond to specific questions, maybe because they don't have the answers, or they know that what the other person is questioning, they're telling the truth, the other one isn't. So they've got to try and, pretend that they didn't see it, right? It can vary from time to time, not always the case, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a backstory as to who Gene Lowski is, okay? Let's look at the responses. In the original comment by Gene saying, a private investigator from Las Vegas found Kenny Veach living in a remote home between Silver Springs and Reno, Nevada. As I said, people correct me with my pronunciation, so I thought I would analyze it myself. The private investigator will be giving out more information to the Las Vegas press this week. This was posted over 2 years ago. Gene Lowski, a supposed search and rescue individual tied with the Kenny Veach search back in 2014 November time, such as the 22nd. This individual speaking on behalf of a private investigator. The private investigator has found Kenny Veach alive and living between Silver Springs and Reno, Nevada. And that more information will come soon. Well, if it is coming to the Las Vegas press, not once did I see anything mentioned in the news or in any articles. Nothing mentioned there. So could it be BS? Maybe. Did things fall through? You never know. And why Can't this private investigator speak himself or on her own doing, right? Why can't they do it here? Why does it require Jean, some third-party representative, to do the talking? What this would imply is that Jean Lowski, if this is all true, was in direct contact with the private investigator to get a hold of this information in the first place. So, Jean, why do you have to announce it? Why can't the private investigator? Okay? A person called Baby saying source. That person with a default, well, not a default, but dodgy tag handle, let's call it that, says, good to see you're back, Jean. Can't wait to see what this PI has to say. Sounds like it will be big. Scott Natal seemed very interested by it by liking this comment called Porn for Girls. Dodgy. Anyway. This person seems to have known Jean Lowski previously by saying, good to see you're back. I didn't think Jean ever left. All I remember was he was around for some time and then he went radio silent, never to be seen again. A person called Gav saying, do you have a link to this? Interested to follow the story. Jean responds back saying, I'll let the private investigator tell his story. He's trying to get the Class TV to handle the release. Well, we never saw it though. Jean also responds back to the other individual saying the private investigator is trying to get Class TV to handle the story. Jackie Kerr responding back saying, I love to hear his information. The private investigator has always believed Kenny was still alive. Wait, hold on. Always believed? What was originally said? Okay, private investigator. Nothing mentioned here by the private investigator knowing that Kenny was alive all this time. So, Jackie, why are you saying that the private investigator has always believed Kenny was still alive? What's that on about? There's no mention of that by the private investigator. Have you seen other comments, Jackie? What do you know what other people don't? Feel free to elaborate, because this is a bit dodgy. Baby responds back saying, so is this a fact or just something you've heard? Jean responds back, the private investigator told this to the Kenny Veach family. I'm just repeating what the private investigator said. Over 2 years ago. I don't remember any family members mentioning anything about this. Susan Veach hasn't mentioned anything about this. So, Susan Veach, if you're watching, I know, besides Jeff Clark, besides all, the people you may not get on well with or if there is friction, if you're able to, Susan, it'll be appreciated. Let me know your side of the story here. I know you've exposed Jean in the past as a fake, I understand, but just let me know what you think about this, okay? Supposedly the private investigator told Kenny Veach's family. Do you know anything of that? I'm assuming you don't, but it does sound better if it comes directly from you, a Veach-related family member, than it does from me. So feel free to leave a comment down below, Susan, or wherever you can. Baby adds on, saying, interesting, if Kenny is really alive, that would be a wild outcome to this story. SM, thanks, Jean. Oh, Susan Veach has popped in. Don't even worry, Susan Veach has it all under control. Already leaving comments. So hold that one. We'll read Susan's original comment 1 year ago, responding back to Jean saying, since you have never spoken to anyone in the Veach family, you are just spreading misinformation or lies. So it appears that the private investigator never reached out to the family from what's mentioned here. A person called Deborah saying, so whatever happened to the information that he's found being given out to the press 1 year ago? So this is a little bit more recent, 1 year ago. So a year on from what Jean said, these comments are saying that not much came out of it. So is it a load of bollocks? I mean, it sounds like it, the way it's gone. But, and I'll say but, I'll do a poll right now. We can look at the rest of the comments, see what people think of the general video of Scott Natal's. I'll do a poll right now. Would you like me to do a very rough analysis of Silver Springs and Reno, the area, to have a look at it, to see any possible locations to where Kenny could be living at? I can't remember if I did a video on this in the past. You know, if I've never done it before, then I can do it. Or if I can revisit the area, there's no harm in that, to generate new ideas and to try and get the ball rolling. Just let me know if you would like a video of it in some way or another at some point, okay? Bubba says, I doubt it. I think he's dead. Okay, fair enough. See, this is how you should word it. I think he's dead. Not I know he's dead, but I think. Good language, good wording. It's a shame more people can't be like that. Jason saying, doesn't Vegas have an underground drainage tunnel system too? So the underground reference once again. We got Cupcake, try sharing pictures. He wouldn't use his real name. Now, some of you will be familiar with this person. Cuppy! Cuppy with the dog profile picture and the pink hat. I've not seen Cuppy in a long time. Okay, so Cuppy, are you still present? Let me know. I remember in the past when covering the Dylan Rounds case, when super chats were turned on for the first time ever, Cuppy was the very first person to send a super chat to me. And it was actually when we were looking at Park Valley in Utah, when looking at Chase Venstra, and we were looking at that cemetery, and I was going down that country road, and then Cuppy showed up with the super chat. It was a big surprise at the time, and the beginning of everything in a way, and more people interacting, and you know, the live premieres working out, so it was all good. At a later point, I did reach out to Cuppy, and she said she had surgery, she was in hospital and was recovering. I guess she's okay now, but I've not seen or heard from Cuppy. She's still a member on this channel, which is good to see. Hopefully Cuppy is still around. She did recently comment on Scott Natal's video, though, which was more to do, I think, with Les Natal, if I'm correct in saying. So yeah, the other person, what we've never heard from since, was the person called Rhonda. Does anyone remember Rhonda? She had a profile picture of her face close to the camera. That was during the Dylan Rounds case. And also you had Nella Bella, okay, the pineapple person. Not seen them since. This person here called Art saying, why would Kenny be hiding out? Response, Memorial saying, love your profile picture, been binging. Okay, so it's got nothing to do with the question. Corey saying, you got some of those blue pills they love and they will search for Kenny all day with you. Are the blue pills Viagra? Or something else. Oh, God, I think I got mixed up there. Mrs. America. Okay, so we've had Miss Canada from the Dylan Rounds community. We've got Mrs. America now. You need a picture of him to show. And Daytime saying before he talks with someone, he can have an image of Kenny on his phone to show. I was thinking the same. So that seems to be consistent there. Now we've got some familiar faces from way back at the start. We got Morg's Machine, an individual from London, I believe. Morg's Machine, a brief spell on my channel. They did the odd video about Kenny Veach as well, but Morg's Machine was mainly hanging around Sean Horlacker's community and still does, okay? Morgs says, so sad to see so many people on the streets. Good idea going to check there. Takes guts to do that. Thanks for sharing. Hope you find him soon. So I don't know if we can really click on much. No, there isn't much to look at there. But yeah, Morg's Machine, I do remember them. Let me know in the chat if you remember any of these people, okay? We got DJ Moore. I said there were two different DJs. You had DJ Moore, DJ Reacts, and then you had bloody Andrew Culver. Fucking hell, Andrew Culver with the DJ set in the profile picture. Right on. But yeah, DJ Moore was quite invested in the Kenny Veach case. Even did a hike out there, which was good. Had the odd weird experience with a individual out there nearby in proximity, almost like they were stalking in a way some female. DJ Moore did research on Sharon Pilgrim, the girlfriend, with her businesses that failed in the background with time. DJ Moore also originally provided the audio for the full-length documentary of the Kenny Veach case by HLN, which was also good. But DJ Moore here, 2 years ago, hell yes. Best boots on the ground in that area as far as I'm concerned. Brilliant idea and the execution. I don't think Kenny would stay that close to Vegas if he just went missing in action. David Bell sure looks crummy. Now, was it you, Jeff Clark, that mentioned David Bell or... Oh no, it was Art Bell, different thing. We got Bam Patriot, go find his brother's house. I bet he's hiding in the basement. Family protects family. Interesting. Rocky Mountain, we all wish he was Scotty, be a miracle. Martin, where did you get that idea from? Well, it can come about within the discussions, is he dead? Is he alive? Well, if he's dead, where's he going to be? Is he going to be in the desert or further afar? If he's alive, is he alive in the desert? Is he alive in Las Vegas or further afar? It's pretty common sense. You eventually get to those different points if you think long enough. But yeah, we've looked at all the comments here, some familiar faces. It'll be interesting to see if there's anyone lurking in the background still. So, in my opinion, when it comes to the idea and theory that Kenny Veach could be living homeless amongst those in Las Vegas, on ground or underground, do I believe that's the case? Well, there's just not enough evidence to prove that, but I still understand the idea, the possibilities around it. I just think it's a bit too risky for Kenny. Okay, if he's got money trouble, which he supposedly did, whether he's in trouble with anyone or anything besides money, nevertheless, I just think it's a bit risky, laying low in Las Vegas. It would make more sense just to get away from the area completely and start again or just hide elsewhere. Just in my opinion, based off the idea he could still be alive. The only common theme from the comments was underground homeless people. Does anyone think Kenny would be truly living underground? I just don't think so. That reference where Scott said how there was somebody in the desert area trying to hide their identity when Scott had a camera, and that there was like some cardboard under or within a shallow cave. That sounds more like Kenny Veach, in my opinion. Kenny Veach is passionate about the outdoors, being out in nature. I don't think Kenny Veach would subject himself to being imprisoned underground or enclosed in a homeless community, because he came across as kind of an independent person, a creative individual. At least from the positive side, at least, and what we've seen ourselves. But with being passionate about nature and hiking, I just think you'd rather be out there than trapped elsewhere, homeless. You'd probably prefer to be homeless out in the desert where it could be more risk to dying than closer to civilization where you might be able to get bits of food and stuff and beg. That's just my thoughts, right? Now, referring back to the main part of this video, though, Gene Lowski, a reputable source, came out with some interesting information with time. Can't deny that, but kind of was exposed by Susan Veach, and on top of that, exposed further by the private investigator not reaching out to the family, the Veach family, supposedly, right? So that's disappointing. Is it possible that the private investigator tried reaching out to one of the family members in which that family member did not inform Susan Veach if they were being protective of Kenny? Might be a chance. There might be certain family members that know Kenny's alive, so when the private investigator called and said, did you know about this? Could have been an awkward conversation, you never know. But Susan said no calls were made to the family, so that's coming from a Veach-related family member, so that should be at least acknowledged and listened to. So the private investigator trying to reach out to Class TV, so like media broadcast within Las Vegas. We've seen the articles as well with time, with other cases, and Frenchman Mountains as well, the remains found there, possibly unrelated, okay? But whilst that private investigator was trying to reach out to that news broadcasting, that media group, a year, 2, 3, 4 years on, what happened? Nothing. So did it all fall through? If it did fall through, why can't the private investigator reach out to certain creators and YouTube? Oh, is it because it's below them? They would rather reach out to the authoritative people, the ones with an agenda, the ones that may twist and spin the narrative. Yeah, it's a great idea. Not as balanced, is it? And make mistakes. But that private investigator must have higher hopes and higher standards, right? Well, look where that went. Didn't work out, did it? So why can't the private investigator, through a failed attempt, why can't they now publicly talk about it here? And as for Gene Lowski, a third-party representative, seems a bit weird. Trying to convince everyone that something has happened, that Kenny is alive, that Kenny has been found and the location has been revealed, but I can't speak myself. I will allow the private investigator to do the talking. Well, this many years on, Gene, you might as well open up with what you know of, because this private investigator is getting nowhere. Or is it all made up, right? I need to make references because what's being done here is exactly what happened in the Dylan Rounds true crime case and community. Within the Dylan Rounds case, you got the family, you got the friends of Dylan who are going through it all, trying to make sense of it. You got the police, you got the FBI, you got some locals, and then some outsiders. The outsiders and some locals claim that James Brenner is innocent, not the murderer at all, and that Dylan never made it to the Grangeshed property and that was killed on the spot before he could get there, and that Chase Venstra and Robert Aviles were responsible for it all, etc., and that no phone call was ever made to the the grandmother Karen Rounds. It was actually a text message. So completely turning the narrative upside down. But the likes of Corey, do people remember Corey? And some others, Bob Farrell, you know, flipping it all upside down, making it as a fact that this is the truth. And also speaking on behalf of Justin Rounds, even though Candice Cooley doesn't know, but Justin Rounds does. Well, what's going on with the breakdown in communication? Fix that out. I did a very clear, perfect explanation and summary of it all on my channel page. If you ever want to refer back to it, it was perfection, okay? And the resistance couldn't answer because they had no answer. But, you know, flipping the story upside down, speaking on behalf of somebody else that knows the truth. You're speaking on behalf of somebody else, and that somebody else being the main source of the information, a reliable individual. Yet they can't do it themselves. They can't take it upon themselves to reveal it to the general public and set the record straight. No, they sit back. Well, that's clever. How do you expect people to change their views then if you're not going to do anything about it? That supposedly some random person shows up online. You're supposed to believe in what they say. And that's good enough. And that's taken for gospel. What a load of bollocks. And I'm sure Badger Life is nodding her head right now as well. And probably Christy too, and some others from over in the Dylan Rounds case community. But what happened there is exactly what's happened here, but 2 years before. So Gene Lowski, private investigator 2 years ago, and a bit more, saying how, I'm speaking on behalf of a private investigator, so I'm in contact with them. I know a certain amount of information, but I'm not going to say it myself. I'll allow them to do it for themselves, so then you can hear. Oh, but, you know, many years on, nothing's happened, but, you know, we'll just let it fall like that. Something so serious like that, a point originally made that Kenny's been found and he's been, you know, located alive, living somewhere. That's pretty important breaking news. I know people can say, well, it could be a load of rubbish and made up and just a false narrative and, you know, wasting time. But nevertheless, you take things serious, stuff like that, because it could be something of value. You never know. You completely dismiss it. You will never know. So at least try and look into it and maybe debunk or reinforce it. But unfortunately here, it came to a dead end. And what it came to a dead end on was the subject of a very important topic. How unfortunate is that? So based off what I know of with time, for Gene to be all talk regarding all the other things in the case, the areas, the geology, the events in the past, the M cave itself and the searches, he was all talk there. But when it came to the real news about Kenny being found, it was, no, I'm not going to say anything. How fucking useless is that, right? Time has passed since, not much has happened. It might be now time to talk, okay, and open the mouth. If not, it can be written off just like that, to be honest, because it's been long enough for action to take place, long enough for plan Bs and solutions to be made, and F all was done, okay? So my conclusion at this moment is, due to the radio silence, I think it's a load of bollocks, okay? If it can be reinforced, if there is a reaction after this, then good. If not, we just move on and look at the next point, okay? Some people may get a bit bitchy and moany with this title, but as I said, when it comes to language and wording, I'm the master of it and I make it appropriate. If people fail to read the title or the thumbnail and then complain afterwards, well, that's on them. And just as a reference, looking back at the video about Kenny Veach's body caught on satellite imagery with a question mark, it implies uncertainty, meaning it's not stated as a fact, but it's a discussion. It's looking into it. It was a video requested one by a viewer. So it was all under control, but people didn't understand it. And those in the comment section, idiosyncratic, impetuous, egocentric, arrogant individuals with zero contribution to the case. Typical dead-end cancer with dead end channels. Default profiles as well. There we go. Round of applause. Everybody, round of applause for no real reason. Okay, don't clap too hard because your hands might get a bit raw. That's what she said. But we'll leave it there, okay? Hopefully people found this video interesting. Some interesting comments, references to Scott Natal, the mystery cave with the ancient symbols within. Take note of that. Let me know your thoughts, Atari, about that specific location, the cave with the ancient symbols, and my analysis of it, Jeff Clark too, because it kind of came to a dead end, unfortunately. We can always revisit stuff with time, of course, but there's still things to cover in the background which I need to focus on. But stitch it all together eventually, okay? Appreciate people's patience. Before you do go, quick important thing to mention. You want to catch up on the latest or the recent videos you may have missed out on, including the one last night, which was very interesting. Top right corner of the screen, if you click on that eye symbol, you'll be able to find those videos to catch up on. And down below in the comment section, make sure to leave a comment, of course. Feel free to like and share this video to spread the awareness so more people hear about this. But down below in the comment section, you'll also find a pinned comment by me with additional links. You can check them out if you want to support this channel in one way or another. And yeah, I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Good night for now.